All right, we are back. I'm super excited to be able to kick this thing off. I know some of you guys that are watching this, maybe in the past, you were watching some of the stuff that Tom and I were doing with Let's Talk, and it was such a great success. We interviewed so many different entrepreneurs, locally or all over North America, that have had success, whether it was in the business space or in the personal space or in the IT space or the healthcare space. We were chatting with people, entrepreneurs from all across, and there's nothing better than iron sharpening iron. That's got to be, for me, the way that I've sort of set my whole life up is be careful you hang around with, be careful the information you put in, but if you can learn from someone who has success, you too can have success. And that was our whole point of Let's Talk. We started up through COVID because a lot of people were sitting at home, negative, frustrated. And we said, man, there's no need to live this way. Let's utilize Zoom. And then we turned it into a podcast, and then we created Let's Talk, and it was a ton of fun. And Tom and I, we've been working together for many, many years. If you don't know me, I'm Paul Ferrucci, and I'm sitting here on a Zoom with Tom McIntyre. And we've both been business owners, me for 20 years, Tom for over 20 years, and have had success in business. But something that brought us together was leadership development, personal, professional development, growing ourselves. And, we can jump on a Zoom and talk for 3 hours sometimes and just have great conversation. And that's sort of where it started. We was like, we should record some of this stuff. Hey, Tom, remember
Yeah,
how we
yeah,
would always be like, we
absolutely.
should record this? Because it's not, one thing is to have good conversation, but when you're reading good books and you're listening to good audios, you're putting out stuff that can help you move forward and other people around you. So I'm going to sort of introduce Tom and pass it over to him. But our whole goal is to add some value to the people around us, whether you're a client of ours or whether you're one of our friends, or maybe you're just plugging into this video. There's a lot of good info out there. It's getting harder and harder to find. I know we live in the information age, and everyone's like, oh no, it's free and it's available. And something that I've said for years is the most expensive thing is free information. And when you're searching for stuff, sometimes you have to make sure you're pulling in some good wisdom. And I hope, as Tom and I share today, you'll see that we've really done the work to try our best to lay a foundation in our life that we can deliver a good message. So, Tom, actually, I've known Tom for over a decade now. He's sort of become one of my best friends, and not that, the age thing matters, but I look at him as a father. I've learned so much from him. He's poured wisdom into me, and he's led me down paths that would have been rough going down that path without him. And he's genuine. He's got a huge heart, and he's not afraid to grow. He's not afraid, and that's something we're always bouncing stuff off of each other, even if it's hard stuff. We can accept it, swallow it, and say, okay, I'm going to learn from this and move forward. But as a business owner, I've watched Tom and his wife Deb, both of them, in their businesses over the past decade, take what they had and thrive with it, put themselves in a financial position, where they're not only able to help themselves, they're now able to help other people. But business-wise, Tom has a huge heart, and he loves what he does. He's in the IT space, he's in the leadership development space, and actually he's in a few other spaces where he's sort of leading some of his kids in business as well. And as you hear from Tom, you're going to see he has got some great wisdom, and I'm super excited to introduce you guys to him. Tom, take the stage.
Wow. When we met 10 years ago, you were probably 10 years into your leadership journey, into your development personally and all. And we were struggling. Debbie and I were struggling financially. We were struggling in our relationship. We were just not in a good place. And meeting you and growing our friendship and our mentoring of I think in both directions of each other. We're still not in a good place. We're financially in trouble. Our relationship. No, I'm just kidding. We're in a way better spot than we were, and I believe it's through not only our community but through our relationship and the mentoring that you've given me. And I'm not that old. I think I look at you as a father. So careful, be careful what you wish for, right? um, I I um I I guess today we're going to do a little bit about telling our story and where we came from. And we want to take this in a slightly different direction than we did when we were doing the interviews. More of a podcast of you and I sharing some of our information that we've learned over time and from mentors and coaches that we've dealt with. So that said, going back in my story, I was working in a job. I was a in a technical field, and that's because I fix things. Ever since I was a kid, I break things just to fix them, and I was in a job in a field, and had an opportunity come up to go into IT, and was offered uh, a position in the co-op position, but not only the co-op position, but a partnership in the business. And I took up that opportunity, and as things developed and changed in that business and in my life, I ended up the sole owner of the business. And here I am today, still running the business and using the information that we've gained through the mentorship, through the coaching, through the positive and leadership development that we've had, that I'm leading people in my team where I'd never have been able to lead them before. I was a difficult person to work with, and I may or may not be now, but I'm always thinking about what are they seeing through their eyes when I talk to them, and I try to approach my life like that. And um, our journey together has been one of definite leadership. Um, Paul, can you jump in on that and let's talk a little bit about where we believe leadership is important and how we do what we do to learn and grow as leaders?
Yeah, a good question to ask yourself is, are you the person that you need to be to create the success that you want to be? If the answer is yes, then you have everything you want. You've got everything you want. If the answer is no, well, then let's become that person, right? Let's become that person, right? Some people ask me all the time, how did you get to where you're at? Well, I read an hour or two a day. I listen to 3, 4 podcast audios a day. I'm working to become who I want to be. And I've learned that I'm never going to actually get to an end because when you think you know everything, yet you know nothing, right? And that's leadership. Leadership is asking yourself, am I where I want to be? Is my company where I want my company to be? Is my relationship with my spouse where I want it to be? Is the relationship with my friends where I want it to be? And if the answer is yes, then perfect, right? If the answer is no, I want to get better, well, there's one way to change that. It's put good information in. And I think that's why, we're passionate about leadership is because we know if people want to bang their head against the wall, we can't help them. But if you meet someone, whether they're an entrepreneur or they're in sales or they're a stay-at-home mom, if somebody wants growth in their life, the best place to find it is from someone who is going down the path that you want to go and just learn from them.
I'm thinking about surrounding yourself with leaders, and if you're not surrounding yourself with leaders, are you surrounding yourself with people that have potential to be leaders? Everybody leads in some way. It's just what level of leadership are they at? So are you surrounding yourself with people that are potential leaders that want to learn, that want to grow, that want to become leaders themselves, and are you bringing them along to help them be leaders in not only maybe in your business relationships, but in your life as well? One of the things I'm sitting here looking at the book behind you, Financial Fitness, and you talk about reading and audios, and that pack I'm familiar with. It's partly what changed our lives, and it's books and audios, and it it goes on the philosophy of I can help you make all the money in the world, but if you don't have the knowledge and the skill and ability to keep it, you're never going to do anything. And I think, I mean, you've been down that journey of helping people make money and helping people learn how to keep it and um, develop that skill in their lives, right?
Yeah, and really, it's just changing your thinking, right? I mean, obviously, there's a lot more underneath that needs to happen to get you there. But I mean, if you look at, the world that we're living in today, 95% of the world is not where they want to be. And then 5% is working towards getting there or living a better lifestyle than they could have ever dreamed of. And they've worked hard and hustled to get there. Where it's helping that 95% start to think like a 5%er. It's getting someone's thinking to say, you know what? I want more out of life. And it may not be money. I have friends that make 5, 6, 700,000 a year, and what they want is time, right? And that's really what you have to ask yourself. What am I looking for? I got lots of money, but I've got no time. Well, there's ways to fix that. And you may say, no, there isn't. There is, right? A lot of these books behind me, a little bit of my story. I met my wife at 16. Well, she was my girlfriend when I asked her out, married, and then started having kids. And by the time we were 25 and starting to have kids, we were like, man, this is not what we signed up for. Like my wife worked for brain injury. I was a food and beverage manager, and we were doing really good, but the results were not showing. When we had money, we never had any time. And then when we took time off, all of our money would go away. It's like, man, why can't we have both? And no one was teaching us that. And that's what led me to reading books and listening to audios and trying to figure out, I got some great mentors when I was 21, 22. Today, I mean, some of these mentors of mine and best friends have become New York Times bestselling authors worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm coached by these people, which is a blessing. But they're human, right? And when you start being coached by humans that have a lot of results, you realize, man, we're all human. We're all struggling. But when you can learn from people who are going down a path and you can go down that path with them, man, that's the best place to be. And I really think that that's what Tom and I are trying to do with this podcast, is to be able to add some value, because by no means have I arrived, and I'll never arrive. But what I love to do is add value anywhere, right? If 100 people listen to this and it adds value in one person's life, I think that's exactly what Tom and I are trying to do with this podcast.
We started out today with the thought that we would tell our stories, and we've told a little bit. I mean, our stories are like anyone's; they're vast, and we've gone down the path of some of the things that we're doing now. Personally, you and I, is exploring our subconscious and leadership, and I guess it's our passion right now, because we quickly turned a conversation about our story into what we talk about when we're offline is what are we doing to better ourselves and work on our subconscious, and I know I went through a struggle recently, and you slapped me in the face and said, listen to this audio, and it brought me back to, yeah, I'm not putting the right information in. I need to fix this. And so I guess my point here is that it's a common, not a common, but it's a journey that we have to be on, and we have to stay on it. We can't stop and sit back and say, I'm okay now. I'll just let whatever come into my brain. We need to constantly be feeding it with the right information so that we have the right output when we're out facing the world.
That's right. Yeah. And just to sort of start to land the plane here and bring this talk to a close and help you see what we're trying to do. When you surround yourself with good people, it gives you good, right? Like Tom just said, he was struggling with something, and I said, hey, listen to this. In life, a lot of people, they don't have that, right? I tell people all the time, let's say someone's struggling in their marriage, right? And they go sit down with a friend, and the friend's advice is, I didn't even like her. You shouldn't even listen to her. Like, she's poison. That's not good advice. The advice should be like, hey, what are you reading right now? Right? Why do you feel that way? Hey, listen to this audio. If we need to tear someone down that's not there, be careful where you're getting your advice from, right? Be that person for someone else, right? If you're watching this, if you have someone who's going through a struggle, read a book, listen to something good, find something. So many times I'll talk to someone where they're struggling. I open up my phone. I have a platform that I use that has tens of thousands of audios in certain areas where I'll click on marriage or I'll click on finances and I'll go through the old talks that I've listened to and say, this talk's perfect. And I'll shoot it over to them. And instead of me trying to take an hour of my time, because time is valuable, we don't have a lot of it. Instead of me taking an hour of my time trying to pour out all that wisdom, I can just send a little audio to that person. An hour later, they're texting me saying, that's exactly what I needed. That's a leader. And that's what we hope we could do with this podcast is help you grow more and more as a leader together. Because that's exactly, we're not saying we've arrived by no means, but by working together with a community of leaders, and one of the things that we're really lacking today in this day and age is leaders. We've got great managers. We've been taught to be managers for 80 years, but leadership has gone away and it's less and less. And that's something that Tom and I are passionate about. And that's why we thought, let's talk back. Let's do what we were doing. Interview, not just, we will interview, business owners, entrepreneurs. We'll bring them on and we'll interview. We'll hear from them. We'll make sure that we bring people on that can add a ton of value. Because if you're going to give 10, 15 minutes of your time and listen to what we have to say, we want to make sure we're pouring in wisdom and we want to lead you down a path to be able to live the life you've always wanted. Because that's really our ultimate goal.
Well, I'm going to just leave it at that. Have a great day. See you next
Have
time.
a great day.